Hi everyone, Tracy DW here. Although we know that the union of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is an intrinsic part of the British Empire, we sometimes forget for a moment that this union was also a product of colonialism. Those of us who were born and reside in the UK overlook this phenomenon of invasion and conquest and just see it as a part of the Union's heritage. This is probably because as British citizens we are the beneficiaries of a certain level of relative ease and comfort from the economic and political stability born from the gradual build-up of wealth over the course of centuries. Centuries of the UK's colonial activities across the globe. It is interesting that there is a perspective that the UK is not only intrinsic but is also a victim of colonial activity, and this is beginning to grow as a counter-argument in support of non-payment of reparations to its former colonies. The invasions of the Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings and Normans have without doubt left indelible marks upon British society. Each wave of invasion and settlement tells a fairly coherent narrative of the different lifestyles, achievements, hierarchies and value systems of these cultures. Though these eras have left relics and influenced many aspects of our present lives, the consequences of many actions and decisions of key individuals are positioned too far back into the past to be held to account today, and much of their global influence may have been eradicated by colonial practices. Also, we should remember that the issue of reparations should focus upon the fact that after slavery was abolished in 1807 and then across its empire in 1833, the plantation owners received compensation which their descendants have benefited from to this very day, whereas the enslaved received nothing, and many of their descendants continue to live out the consequences of the political and economic policies of their former colonial masters. The question isn't should reparations be paid, but what form could reparations be given in today's modern world to address the poverty, resource issues and imbalance of economic power that still endures? Reparations can mean different things to different societies and can bring about a range of outcomes meeting each society's needs. For this reason, we should always remain on top of this subject area and never allow it to be trivialised or allow ignorance, complacency and sarcasm to engage us in conversations which cause us to race to the bottom. The UK is still the world's fifth largest economy, having soft power and influence through security, intelligence, healthcare, scientific research, military equipment and, more recently, climate change. With talk of several crown colonies considering becoming republics, perceptions of the UK's credibility and standing across the rest of the world has shifted since the passing of the late monarch in 2022. But have these perceptions always been just a shift in the changing times, or have these perspectives always been there and have just emerged out of the shadows? The UK is also arguably the most successful union in recorded world history. But at the time of this podcast episode, the unity of the UK is in a precarious situation. The reality of the UK being itself an entity of colonialism has never been more apparent than over the last decade, However, preceding this time, there is a long history of political processes which reveal ongoing tensions between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Legal processes to devolve government powers aimed at achieving an equilibrium of a separate togetherness. The Northern Ireland Border Poll of 1973. The UK EC membership referendum 1975. Scottish devolution referendum 1979. Welsh devolution referendum 1979. Scottish devolution referendum 1997. Welsh devolution referendum 1997. Greater London Authority referendum 1998. The Northern Ireland Good Friday Agreement referendum 1998. The North East England devolution referendum of 2004. The Welsh devolution referendum of 2011. The UK Alternative Vote referendum 2011. The Scottish independence referendum in 2014, and more recently, the UK EU membership referendum in 2016, which saw the UK's decision to leave a wider union, that of the European single market, together with the customs union and common travel area, a decision more commonly referred to now as Brexit. The triggering of Article 50 on the 29th of May 2017 marked the formal start of the UK's withdrawal from the European Union, and with it rose the ghost of the last Scottish referendum in 2014 and brought a new challenge of how to prevent a hard border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. With these two entities, we can see a narrative for the breakup of the UK becoming more persistent over the period of the last 2 to 3 years. With this separate togetherness of the four nations, devolved governments so loosely hinged together through a imbalance of power where the right to even consider a referendum for independence can only be granted from on high by the powers of Westminster. The up-and-coming coronation of a new monarch on the 6th of May 2023 also brings reprisals of the argument whether to keep the monarchy as a symbol of hope for the future or abolish the monarchy as a hereditary relic of the past. Amid all of this, surely we must ask the question, what is the state of the Union? With Scotland trying to use a referendum as a counter-protest to having left the EU, and Northern Ireland wanting to remain in the UK but being used as a battleground for a proxy trade dispute between the UK and the EU, we can begin to understand and learn more about the nature of these tensions. We can begin to understand and learn more about the nature of these tensions by looking back at some aspects of the origins of how the union of these four nations began and the relationship to colonialism. The United Kingdom of Great Britain, England, Scotland and Wales, united with the Kingdom of Ireland in 1801 to form the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. In 1921, the western and southern parts of the island of Ireland broke away from what was formerly known as the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland and became formally known as the Irish Free State in 1922. In 1937, it was called Ireland or Éire, and by 1948 it became known as the Republic of Ireland. The northeastern area was named Northern Ireland and remained part of the United Kingdom and became the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is often known as the province and had suffered tensions and outbreaks of serious violence between Unionists, who wished to remain part of the UK and traced their origin back to the plantation of Ulster, and nationalists, who seek for a united Ireland. The most recent tensions were known as the Troubles and occurred during the period from the late 1960s to the late 1990s. One of its features was that the Republic of Ireland United Kingdom border was heavily fortified and militarised, but in 1998 the Good Friday Agreement brought the conflict to an end and the border was demilitarised. Since both nation-states were members of the European Union at the time and have been operating a common travel area since 1921, so there was no need for any formalised hard border. However, after the referendum of 2016, the UK government not only made the decision to leave the European Union, but also leave the European Union Customs Union and the European Single Market. And although this created a trading and regulatory border between the UK and the European Union, it could be managed and maintained between the UK and European landmass via the English Channel and North Sea. However, the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland had potential issues which were referred to as the Brexit trilemma. No hard border between Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, no hard border through the Irish Sea, and together with no British participation in the European Single Market and the European Customs Union. The UK and EU agreed to a way of putting in place a safeguard against this trilemma known as the Northern Ireland Protocol, or Article 16. A safeguard against any disruption that trade between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland could cause due to the threat of goods flowing from the UK into the Republic of Ireland unregulated and therefore into the European Union, which the Republic of Ireland remains a part of. And so, what of the origins of the English-Scottish Union? Well, after fighting a series of wars during the Middle Ages, the Kingdom of Scotland and the Kingdom of England formed as independent countries until 1603, where, after the demise of the first Queen Elizabeth, the monarchies of both kingdoms entered a personal union known as the Union of the Crowns, where James VI of Scotland also became James I of England. The two nations were temporarily united under one government in 1653 when Oliver Cromwell was declared Lord Protector of the Commonwealth, which was dissolved when the monarchy was restored in 1660. With Wales already being incorporated into England in the mid-16th century, Scotland and England united to form the Kingdom of Great Britain in 1707. The Scots favoured the union to solve the economic problems caused by the failure of the Darien scheme, a failed attempt by Scotland to form a colony in Panama, South America, and the English also favoured the union to secure the Hanoverian line of succession, passing the Act of Succession earlier on in 1701, so that the English crown could only pass to Protestants. This cancelled any Catholic heirs to the throne since Charles I, 1625 to 49, ensuring that after Queen Anne's death in 1714, the English throne would pass to George I, 1714 to 1727, the son of Sophia of Hanover, granddaughter of James I. So, what is the state of the Union? The SNP party within the Scottish Parliament aims to achieve Scottish independence by 2026, But is this a viable option for them? And is the party being realistic? And will the EU consider Scotland's application and recognise it as a valid one? And now that the Windsor Framework has been adopted by the UK and EU, will the Irish Unionists be convinced that it will go some way towards ensuring that their union with the rest of the UK will remain intact? In short, can the union stay together? For how long can it survive? Is it just a matter of time? If you liked this podcast, then stay on this listening platform and check out my other podcast episodes related to this one, such as From Trash to Treasure, the Scottish Darien Project, Parliament and Empire, and Parliament and Empire, the Conservative Monday Club, from the current 3rd season, and An Open Letter to King Charles III from the 2nd season. And don't forget what I call the heart and soul of the Stories to be Told movement. My stories, or poetic narratives, Caribbean Wind, Caribbean Rush, Knights at the Round Table, the Berlin Conference 1884, and Gone with the Wind, Macmillan's Speech for Change, are all available on the website in both Kindle and paperback formats. And also the publication of the latest 4 titles. If you want to find out more, just visit storiestobetold.com and check out the learning platforms for The Journey's End, Giving Back Hong Kong, Bite from the Big Apple, A Story for New York, Hope for Zimbabwe, Arise the Phoenix, and A Story for South Africa. Well, at the time of recording of this podcast episode, it is the end of March and the beginning of April. Here in the UK, the clocks have sprung forward with the start of British summertime, and Easter is just around the corner. If you visited the promotions page on the website recently, you'll notice our monthly giveaways, and our giveaway for March is our exclusive Stories to be Told logo t-shirt. The time has come to announce our promotions winner, and I would like to say a huge congratulations to Dr. Kuhn. Your logo t-shirt is on its way to you. Many congratulations. If you'd like to purchase your own copy of any of the poetic narratives, the links are in the show notes, as well as a link to my latest monthly newsletter. Now, if you're not a part of the email list, just visit storiestobetold.com and sign up, where you can opt in and receive your free samples of my first 4 titles. It's the only way to enter the draw for a chance to win a giveaway. And finally, remember that you can also send me an audio message on the SpeakPipe link, which is also in the show notes, so don't be a stranger. Feel free to like, follow and share us on social media when you visit the website. Just click on whichever social media link you would like to follow us on. And, as always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to share my learning journey with you in this podcast series, and I encourage you to either begin or continue your own. History is a matter of fact or perspective. I'm Tracy DW, and this is a Stories to be Told podcast. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next page.